What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be installing a custom coilover kit on a 1977 F-150. If you remember from previous videos, I installed a 2019 Mustang independent rear. Now it's time to upgrade that rear suspension. With that comes Viking performance. I called them, told them what I had, told them what I wanted. I was looking for something with performance, drivability, kind of streetability all in one. And this is what they recommended. This isn't a kit they sell. It's kind of all piece parted together. But there are some third-party vendors out there, suppliers and installers that has the whole kit. However, they were zero help when I called them as far as what part numbers went into their kits, what was the spring rates of their coils, what was the rebound and the compression of their shocks. Neither one of those companies kind of gave me a warm fuzzy as to what was going into those kits. So this is actually two kits. You don't need both of these. I'm doing two trucks at the moment, so you only need one of these. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have a little bit better understanding as to what it takes to kind of install this on that truck and kind of what parts go into that. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. If you are subscribed, hit the like button, hit the dislike button. Throw a comment, let me know you guys are out there. Share this out as well. Let's go. Okay, here we go. So I went ahead and set the suspension up. If you look at the CV axle, it's pretty much parallel to the ground. That's kind of where I want my height when we're normal riding, all the weight's kind of down the truck. The more 0 degree or planed out that is, the better it is on those U-joints and knuckles inside of there. So went ahead and set my jack, put that to parallel to the ground. And that's kind of where I want this to set. What I'm going to do now is take a measurement pretty much from the bottom of the control arm up to the top and kind of see where my shocks are as far as compression goes. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to release the jack, let the kind of suspension hang on its own. I might give her a little bit of assist, pushing it down a little bit, and then take another measurement from that same height down to the control arm again and kind of see what the difference is. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so it's important that you take the measurement from the exact same spot. I'm gonna do it just inside of that eyelet on the control arm. I'm gonna be as plumb as I can. And it looks like from the bottom to the top of the frame is about 12 inches. Now you can measure anywhere you want. You measure the bottom of the frame, middle frame, I don't care where you measure it from. Just take it from the same exact spot every single time on ride height and then basically recoil or rebound. So we know that's 12 inches there. We're gonna go ahead and get the jack stand out of here, kind of let that kind of relax itself, and then take another measurement from the same spot, top of the frame to basically the outside of that eyelet. Okay, went ahead and took out the jack stand. It's kind of relaxed. Kind of pushed down on it a little bit with my foot, kind of to get those bushings to kind of set down just a little bit more. Now let's get a measurement from the same spot. Remember, outside of that eyelet, top of the frame, looks like we're at 13.5. Now, that's just kind of it relaxed, kind of doing its own thing. We know as this thing's articulating with weight, the weight's gonna wanna throw that up a little bit. So I'm gonna add about 1/2 inch to 3/4 to that. This bed, still up there. The bed is kind of heavy, but the weight of the truck shifting and turning and doing all of its roll, I'm gonna go ahead and account for about 3/4 of an inch more. So we're gonna round that up to about 14 inches. That's about a 2 inch of travel from drive line basically to rebound. All right, here we are back on the bench. I'm not gonna go over the full kind of rebound, recoil, compression, all the kind of math you have to do on that kind of stuff. But all I wanted to show you was there was a 2 inch travel basically from drive line to full rebound. It was 2 inches. This thing's fully open, and that is 5 inches. So you just set these kind of in the middle. That's 2.5 inches of travel both ways, 5 inches of travel overall. So if I set this to kind of where it needs to be in the bottom of the This is the bottom of the coilover. This is the bottom of the control arm, and here's the top where we're gonna mount it. It's about 14 inches what I took. There's 14 inches. So at 14 inches, this is where it's gonna sit in its bottom lower control arm cup, and then this is where we'll kind of mount the top upper shock mount on the frame. It's 14 inches. I took a measurement over there. It's 14 inches, and that's where it's gonna sit. So full recoil, or rebound, I'm sorry, it's gonna be 16 inches. So if I open this up all the way where it needs to be, there we are. We're right about 16 inches from the top to the bottom. So we know at full rebound that we're gonna have plenty of room. We're not gonna end up bottoming out the shock. And on compression, well, if that's sitting at 14, right about there, if that's sitting at 14 right about there, and I've got to compress this thing, well, that's gonna be well over 3 inches. Yeah, 3 inches of compression I'm allowed to. Now we're never gonna hit that full 3 inches with that coil, this 450-pound coil on it. But I just wanted to show you that we have enough travel up and down where we're not gonna bottom out these shocks. Hope that makes sense. Okay, here we are, kind of an exploded detailed view of what's gonna be have to get put together. I've got some 450 foot-pound spring rate coils. These are 10-inch, meaning top to bottom is 10 inches, and 450 foot-pounds means it takes 450 foot-pounds to compress this thing 1 inch. So if we were to double that to 900 by each corner, I'm thinking that bed's about, that back half of the truck is somewhere around that 2,100 pounds. Cut that number in half, call that 1050. Corner weights, you're gonna be looking at 900, 500 a piece. It's never going to compress this thing more than 3 inches because we just don't have the weight of the truck. So 450 foot-pounds for the spring rate is kind of where I went with that. That's not the correct, 100% correct version to determine spring rate. I can figure that out. That is how I did it to kind of look at these, and with the help of obviously Viking Performance. But that's kind of the roundabout quick math we kind of put into the calculator to make this work. So part number on that is going to be Viking 10 DP 450. That's just for the coils. Now the shocks themselves, it's pretty much 10 inches fully compressed up to anywhere from about 15 and a half, depending on where you measure from. And that part number is going to be Viking C217-W. These are just the bushings that are going to go inside of here. They get snap rings in there and snap rings in the bottom. This is how it pretty much lays. This is the top. You put your coil on, you put the bottom in. It's got a thrust bearing. It's actually going to sit right here. You really want to grease up that thrust bearing, so as you're adjusting this, it's got pretty much free movement and free travel without any kind of binding on there. This bottom one is going to sit obviously on the bottom. It's going to go. Now if you look, there's a lip on here. That lip you want facing up. You really don't want these crushed together where there's no kind of gap in there. So make sure that that recess is up. This will be your whole bottom setup. This will go on. This is going to kind of keep everything on the top, and it's going to go inside of there. Now, something else you're going to need for this Mustang conversion is this kit. This is the Viking 7935-117 kit. Basically, all this is the eyelets that go in the bottom to accept the lower control arm on that Mustang. Basically, the bottom of the shot, put that in there, and that's the correct diameter. I'm sorry, the correct width and everything you need to just bolt that right into the lower control arm. And to mount the top, I just go online. You can make these yourself. This one actually came in another kit. I just kind of save them. This will be kind of a universal upper strut / shock mount. You can really use anything, just as long as it's offset enough from where this coil doesn't hit the frame, which we'll show you when we install it. just a universal upper shock control tab. Okay, so how does one of these things go together? So we're gonna start at the bottom. These eyelets have kind of a bushing in it. However, we're gonna be using that, I don't even know what you wanna call this adapter for the Mustang side. So we're gonna take that bushing out of there. We're not gonna need that because this is going to be the bushing for it. Now, if you look, there is some grooves in here. That's gonna take these snap rings. One's gonna go here, snap, and then one's gonna go here. Going to keep that from trying to walk out. Once you get those kind of snapped in, these are going to slide into its little home. Now, I recommend greasing every bit of this. I do grease all of these. And then once those are in, you take the other set of snaps, and that's going to get, one's going to go there, one's going to go there on both sides, and that's going to stop this whole thing from wanting to slide out as well. The upper one, you are going to keep that bushing inside of there. There's the bushing. Keep that bushing in there. That's gonna go into the top. If I can get it in there, get it in there straight. Okay, and that's gonna get a snap ring as well, and a snap ring as well. Once that's all together, it's gonna look something like that. Snap ring, snap ring, snap ring down inside there. Lots of good grease in there, so moves free. And the top is going to need one as well. Make sure that bushing stays in there. There we go. All right, so that's the shock setup. Now let's go ahead and get the coil on here. So in order to do that, remember this is the very bottom plate I was telling you has that recessed lip on it. We're gonna want that up. And we're gonna go ahead and just kind of cinch it all the way down to the bottom. Oh, did I mention these are also dual adjusting? One for the compression and one for the rebound. So lots of adjustability on these shocks. I've already got grease on this. So you really want to grease, and just show you separate. So we'll put the actual retainer on. Now this is the retainer for the bottom of the coil, and this one actually just locks itself together. But I'm going to run them all the way down. Now they're together. Now this is a thrust washer with thrust bearing. Basically 2 washers, and in between is some needle bearings. Make sure you get those nice and lubed up. And that's going to set on top, like so. The lock ring, retainer, thrust washer, thrust bearing, whatever you want to call it. So then that's going to sit on top of it like that. Free movement, no binding. Guess I should have fully extended that thing first. Okay. Make sure it's up like that. This is the top half, this is the bottom. Obviously this little retaining lip is going to sit down inside that coil. So, slide it on, make sure it's good and tight. Not good and tight, but seating down inside there. Now I'm going to take and just hold it by the coil so it kind of resets or seats up in there. And then I'm going to cinch this up. Just until it's pretty much just a little taut to keep everything together. Now we can take that, go ahead and set it inside the truck, start adjusting this retaining ring up based off of our measurement here. Let's go over to the truck and see how she fits. Okay, we're back at the truck. Here's the lower control arm. If you look, there are the bolts, there are the bolt holes right here and right here that adapter, bracket, bushing, whatever you want to call it, this thing right here is going to bolt down inside of. Now make sure you have your adjusters inboard to the truck. If you have them out, it's just really tight to try to get anything adjusted. If you have them inboard, at least you can get your hand in between this lower control arm and the frame, and it makes life easier. That's all. These are 9/16 on both sides. Give that a little tighten. And what I mean by little tighten is torque down. Torque it down. All right, good and tight. My adjusters are inboard. Now let's figure out, where is that going to sit? Okay, so if you remember, I've got this jack stand pretty much at drive line centered out where I want it to be statically. Now, the top is not quite fitting, obviously, so what's going to happen is we're going to push down on this. I'm going to set this coil pretty much to that 3 inches, so I have that 2.5 inches of travel up and down. Keep rocking this thing up until I get where I need to be. Right now, it's just got a little bit of pressure on that spring. I'm going to probably put a turn or 2 turns into that, and then get me a mount, which is right here. Put it on top. I'm going to have to set the coil back just a little bit. You can't have it straight up. Now, our spring rate calculator also accounted for it's not going to be straight up. We're going to have it back just a little bit so it clears that CV axle. And we should clear everything. So I'm going to get this jack stand out from underneath it, kind of let it droop on its own, get this mounted in there, and then kind of start checking all my measurements from there. Yeah. All right. Very bottom, I'm just going to start like a baseline of, let's go 1 inch, which is exactly right there. So we'll go to 1 inch at the bottom. As far as thread showing, move that out of the way. Forward, back, right back. Best. Get a mount put in there. Now here's what I was talking about earlier about making sure your mount sticks out far enough. Get a mount that all right, so if you get a mount that doesn't stick out far enough from the back to here, well, that's going to hit, and you really don't want that. So you kind of want it off about a 1/2 inch or so, and that's perfect for what this is. I'm gonna go ahead and get this. All right, there you go. We got the mount welded up. Still a little hot. Actually went ahead and put a couple beads on the inside on both sides as well. Now we can get this in there. Start setting our heights. All right, I know I'm not using the right bolt. I'm waiting to go get some more hardware. I don't think any truck really takes a carriage bolt except for on the beds. So no comments on, hey, that's not the right bolt. Yes, yes, yes. We know. So now you can see that there is no pressure. It's just kind of relaxed, hanging down by itself. This right here, this dimension is about 3.5 inches. The other inch down here, 1.5 inches is down here on the bottom. So I'm hoping when I now release the jack, basically it's going to lower it down, hit this, and go back up to my driveline height, that this is sitting about anywhere from 2.5 to 3 inches. That way I know when we start hitting stuff, I have enough rebound or compression, I'm sorry, enough compression to not bottom this out to the top of the strut. Hopefully that makes sense. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower this thing down and we need to see if this is setting, or see if my drive line is sitting parallel to the floor again. If it is, we're really close. Okay, I'm not sure how we pulled that off, but it is pretty dang close. If you look at the drive line, not 100% parallel to the ground, which I'm okay with because we still haven't got the bed on here and any of that weight is going to push this down. I'm accounting for it's going to come up maybe a 1/2 inch or so. What I can do is put the jack on here and kind of raise it up, see how much pressure it takes to kind of make that. That's going to compress my spring a little bit more, drop this down. Where's my tape measure? That is putting me right at about 3 inches. So I got about 3 inches exposed. I'm sorry, 3.5. Yep, 3.5 exposed. If it drops down another 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, once again, now I'm at 3 inches of travel, 3 inches of travel of compression I'm allowed, and I only need 2.5, so I'm still good there. If I want to lower this back down some, I'll just take these retainers, back them down. If I want to make it a little bit taller, we'll go back up. So I'm going to leave it like that for now until we get the bed set on it, and I can make some fine-tuning adjustments, but that right there is about where I want it. Okay, I wanted to show you real quick with the jack on the outside. Basically, it's simulating as if we've got a tire on there, and this is what it's going to sit like. If you look, well, the CV axle is just about plane or parallel to the ground. Don't have the bed on yet, so I'm thinking that extra weight's going to set it down. We're pretty close to our initial baseline for setting these coilovers. We're still going to have to fine-tune these in, no doubt, once we get the bed back together, get the wheels on it. But I did want to show you kind of with that 1 inch, with the bottom of retainer up about 1 inch, and we've got about 2.5 to 3 inches of clearance on the top. That right there, if it compresses anymore, we're still gonna be well within our 2.5 inch travel. But looks good. All right, guys, that is a wrap for today's video. Appreciate everybody sticking around to the end. Hopefully this video helps somebody else out there that's trying to do this Mustang conversion on their F100 or their F150. I'm positive there's other coilover setups out there that you can use, but this is what I like, this is what I'm gonna use, and this is what I'm gonna show you guys works for me. Thanks a lot again for sticking around. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. If you are subscribed, hit that like, hit that dislike, share this thing out, turn the notification on. That's gonna let you guys know next time I drop a new video. The notifications ain't for me, all right? They're to notify you that I'm dropping videos. I know when I'm dropping videos, and I know when I'm editing videos, and I even know when I'm making videos. So once again, thanks a lot, guys, for sticking around. We will see you guys next time.